Hey everyone, I'm Soph. This is Rich and we are from across the pond. What a week. Let me just have a sip of juice, sorry. Lots going on this week, lots in the news, both sides of the pond. Got a lovely guest on today. I've just been rushing around, cool. Excuse me. So today, this week, been working. Alfie's at school. It's just been a usual week, really. There's been a lot going on in the news. I'll start with Richie's news because he's been filling me in. So apparently there was a cyber attack on gas pipelines, petrol pipelines for the gas stations, petrol stations over here. And there was either no petrol or a shortage of petrol at some gas stations. So I'm assuming that went down like a lead balloon because, well, people need to get around, don't they, in their cars. Also, there was a shooting in Times Square. From what Rich could gather, it was over a selling space. You know, like people sell bags or hats or whatever, they have their little space in the street. Apparently it was over that, but 3 people were shot, including a 4-year-old girl. Now that is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Like, ridiculous. If that is the case, ridiculous thing to argue over to the point where you're pulling out a gun. But that poor child, I couldn't imagine what it's like being her mum, but ridiculous. Good job we don't have guns here. That's all I'm saying. Sorry, I've got my notes here and I'm trying to read what he said so that I get it right. Apparently Republican Cheney got voted out because she didn't want to support Trump and the big lie. This is really where I need Rich, to be honest, because I can't tell you any more about that story, so I don't know. But yeah, apparently somebody got voted out. I want to say Cheney, but I'm probably not saying it right. But it was a Republican because she didn't agree with Trump and his big lie. So she's got the boot out. In the UK, the main story that took my attention this week was this old, excuse me, I've got to wipe my glasses, this old vaccine. And they were basically saying that NHS workers in hospitals, nurses, doctors, frontline staff, really, that they're being forced to have the vaccine. And if they don't have the vaccine, then they'll get suspended. I think that's a joke, absolute joke. I got my text in the week to say, your free COVID vaccine is now available. Click on the link and you can book it. No, I haven't clicked on the link. But also, I'm going to see if I've still got it. I did notice that one of my friends, she put something on her social media in the week because she'd been for her first one. And obviously you got to have the second one after a certain period of time. Oh, here it is. So she got clicked on the link to book her second one, and it said, we cannot find a slot for your second appointment. If you are eligible, then you need to keep looking. So even people that have had their first vaccine here can't even get the second one. So I don't know what happened to the fact that you have to have the second one within a certain amount of time. They just seem to be making it up as they're going along, to be honest, and it is all a bit ridiculous. But yeah, I've had the call, I didn't even get a call. I got a text to go for my jab, but nah, not today, son, not today. Celebrity news, Ellen DeGeneres show is coming to an end. Next season, I think it said after 22 years, next season will be her last series. So yeah, Ellen DeGeneres show is no more. To be fair, we ain't long had that over here, so we've probably got years to watch before it comes to an end here, but no more Ellen. Anyway, so today I have a lovely guest joining me. Her name is Larissa. She is an actress, works in theatre. in London. So yeah, we're going to talk to her all things theatre, all things acting. Should be very pleasant. Just press the button to let her in. Connecting to audio. Here she is. Hello, Larissa.
Hello, Flower. How are you doing?
How are you? Looking beautiful as ever.
Thank you.
So I've just explained to everyone that you are a budding actress and you work in theatre in London. And so, yeah, we're just going to talk about that really. So,
Okay.
What made you get into or want to get into acting?
Oh my gosh, the big question. So I guess part of it is thanks to my mum, who was a big Dram theatre buff. So she took me to see like my first ever performance, which was Cats, the musical.
Okay.
When it toured and came to Nottingham. And I just remember being so impressed with like, you know, the amazing set. And they had, you know, big, because obviously the council of Cats, everything was larger. So they had like a big box of Jaffa cakes. And anyone who knows me knows I love Jaffa cakes. So that was a big bonus anyway. And the way they all came out of these rubbish, for those of you who don't know, the set is like a big tip. So the characters come out of like a fridge, inside a fridge, or from a chocolate tin, you know, these sort of quirky things. Like, oh my god, that's so cool. And even though I can't really sing and I can't really dance, I knew that I still wanted to be in theatre. So when mum took me to see plays, I was like, yes, that's what I want to do, definitely.
And how old were you then?
8.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, young, because mum was part of the local, you know, Amjam society, and it was a new sort of setup in the village, and they needed 2 young people in their performance of A Christmas Carol. And my mum was like, yeah, my 2 of my daughters can do it. And then off we went.
Oh. So what made you, did you go to London because that's where like the main?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know, you know, one of the great things about the UK is that there's a lot of regional theatres, but for training, you know, please correct me if you think otherwise, some of the best schools are in London, and that's where majority of auditions are. Granted, COVID has changed that, and then there's been a lot more Zoom auditions. Even, you know, self-tapes are a huge thing now, and I think that will remain. But yeah, London has this amazing sort of hubbub of energy, and such a multicultural city, so creative, not just with theatre people, but just arts in general, that I was like, if I'm going to do this, I need to be in London.
But was it like you thought it would be? You know, like when you see it on the TV, it's all like lights, camera, action. What? You know, was it really like that when you went?
No, I mean, granted, London has incredible energy and the lights, and it's all very exciting. But really, you know, there are so many people in this industry, and I wasn't naive at all. My parents were very honest, like, it's hard, and the chances of you know, getting anything is very slim. And so I knew that it was going to be tough, and it is tough.
Why do you think it is so tough?
Because there's a lot of women and more male parts. Just even though you could go to any theatre company, professional or Amjam, there's always more women than there is men.
Okay.
And most writers are men. Granted, that is changing significantly, and there are some amazing female writers, amazing. Yet somehow I find that it's more male writers that get noticed somehow.
Okay.
Even when you look at the scripts, there are more male characters than there are women, and it racks my. I don't understand why. I don't understand why. But also the better characters tend to be men. That's why it's so good where you get some established performers like Dame Harriet Walter, who will do an all-female production of Julius Caesar, and she's done some more of the histories as well. And it's like, yes, we need those sort of things, just because, you know, from a female point of view, you'll never get to play them unless it's an all-female cast, you know, and those sort of really gritty roles, that rather than, you know, just playing the girlfriend that goes, no, please don't go, please stay. Those sort, who wants to play those parts? You know, you want to be in there with the action. You want to be kicking ass in Game of Thrones. You know.
So have you managed to have your big break yet in the big city?
Alas, no.
Well, you never know. Somebody could see you on the show. This could burst you out. Yeah.
Please. I mean, I've had like a few very sort of minor things, like the Royal Opera House. That was a great experience. And doing Edinburgh Fringe, I mean, I could not recommend doing that enough. That is another almost complete different ball game altogether. So much fun. But I know that even though I have not had that much success, I know that I'm not ready to give it up yet. Every time COVID, there were moments when it was just like, oh, what's the point? And then I'll watch a film or see a National Theatre live performance, and it's like, oh, I still really want to do that. I still really want to do it.
I mean, I wanted to ask you about like COVID, as we have to touch on it a little bit because it's the main thing that's happened over the year.
Yeah,
so
of course.
How has that like affected the theatre industry? Has it come to a close altogether, or what happened there?
Massive. I mean, it had to stop. I mean, you can't put on a show without an audience. And how can you pay the staff, the front of house staff, if there's no audience, if no one's buying tickets? How can you do that? So yes, pretty much. A lot of people were made redundant working front of house, even rear of house, the crew, because there was obviously no money to pay them anymore. And so a lot of people have ended up, you know, turning to universal credit or taking on jobs that they really either don't want to do or overqualified to do, or you know, like that. But now it is starting to, things are reopening again, which is good. It'll be interesting to see what the effect of it all will be, particularly on theatre. I think film and TV may get back to a relative normality. Maybe they'll have to wear masks longer, maybe.
I was going to say, do you think that people will be skeptical about coming to sit in the audience, or?
I would say so, because obviously, just looking at the news, everyone takes COVID seriously, or well, a relatively different. What's the word? Some people take it more seriously than others.
Yeah.
And so some people go to the park and have no social distance whatsoever, hug everyone, kiss everyone, whether other people are like, no, I need to make sure I wash my hands, make sure I keep a distance. So yes, you may go and think, you know, I've washed my hands, I've done every precaution, but you don't know if the person 2 seats down from you have thought the same, which is really sad, because you want to think of everyone, you know, we're all in this together sort of thing. But
do you think that they will adjust the seating plan, or how the seating is, because it is quite close knit, you know, because I've been to the theatre a few times, and you are it's a bit like a cinema, you know, you are sat in rows quite close together.
Well, Andrew Lloyd Webber tested it, and he tried to, I think it must have been like July time last year, he tried to, you know, with the government backing, get people back into theatres with seats taken out, blah, blah, blah. But what he found was that with the reduced capacity, you then obviously getting less money.
Mm.
So even though bars are open, and I think they were doing like at-seat service, it was not nearly enough to keep the theatre running. And you've got to remember, you're not just paying the performers, you're paying the backstage crew, the front of house, the electricity, everything that goes into making these big buildings run. And to do that half capacity, it's hard financially. And I think I'm not quite sure how it worked over Christmas, because I know like Les Mis was going over Christmas, but obviously they had to stop because of Boris's lockdown. But I have to admit, I didn't go, so I don't know if they removed seats or just didn't sell between, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I did see in the news a few months ago, Denise Van Outen was in a theatre production, and they put big like perspex screens up over the front of the stage, and then they had tables that were spread out. I'm not really sure how successful that.
No, I remember her being on the One Show and talking about it, and I'm just like, it's great. People are trying to be creative and get audience members in, but having a screen in front of the stage, it's like, that's totally taking away what theatre is. But if that's the only way to perform, what can you do? And to see how all these measures sort of take away from the enjoyment of theatre. Like why you go to a theatre rather than a cinema, say, or stay home and watch something on TV. There's a reason why you choose to go to the theatre. So it'll be interesting to see how restrictions might prevent that enjoyment, or certainly stop it a bit.
Yeah, because they've said that from Monday you can now sit inside at restaurants and stuff. So have they said when theatres are going to begin to be open?
I thought it's certainly end of May, because I swear like Les Mis is opening soon, like end of May, 20th maybe, or 22nd or something.
So is that what do you think they're going in with the big shows to open first?
I would say yes, because they're guaranteed to sell. I mean, at the end of the day, it might sound very cynical, but theatre's got to make money, and Les Mis, Phantom, Wicked, they're big money shows, and also they're in venues that can socially distance, whether some of London's smaller theatres would really struggle because they don't have as you know, some of these theatres are so old, there's no way to do like a one-way system, or those sort of restrictions. But in the bigger venues, like the Palladium, say, which is huge, you can. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I just hope it all runs smoothly, because now we've got this Indian variant.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention that at the beginning segment of the news, so I'll fill everyone in after we've had our chat about that, because it's not one thing, another. But obviously, we are across the pond. Normally, Richard would be here, but he's not. So my question from across the pond is, obviously we have West End, they have Broadway. Would you ever do Broadway?
Oh my God, yeah, of course. If they would have me, I'd be there in a heartbeat. I mean, what
is the difference? Is it just one's in America, one's in the UK? Then any big difference?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just their theatre district.
Okay.
How they run it might be different. How they do tickets, maybe, I don't know, but that itself will be like a great experience, trying to work out what their process is.
Have you ever been to Broadway?
No, I've not even been to America. I know.
Oh my goodness. Anybody who's watching the show, if you'd like to get Larissa over, if you can give her a part, can you do an American accent if they asked you?
I can try.
Everyone loves a trier.
American TV, I'm sure something will come out my mouth.
Listen, anybody across the pond, if you're watching, Larissa is willing to come to Broadway. She'd even, like you just said, she'd have a part in TV, film. She'll be there. She'll try an American accent. We love it. So what is the best Westend Theatre show you've seen?
No judgments.
No judgments here.
Okay. It might surprise you, because I bet some people would be like, oh my God, it's going to be Les Mis, it's going to be Phantom, of course. It's always stuck with me, okay?
Oh.
Lord of the Rings, the musical. Okay, before you go, what? So, I love Lord of the Rings, anything fantasy related. And what was the best thing about the musical is that it's just so different. It's not one of those musicals where they have this big sort of tap dance number where everyone turns to the screen sort of thing. It was, the style of music was very folky almost, and it fits so well with, the Lord of the Rings world. And I was just completely blown away of the scale of what you can put on a West End stage. And granted, it was at Drury Lane, which is one of the biggest theatres in the West End.
Mm-hmm.
But what they did, and it was just so immersive. They had hobbits and orcs running around the auditorium, scaring people. It was honestly one of the best things I've seen on stage, and I really don't feel like it got the recognition it deserved. Such a shame.
Was it better than the films?
You can't compare.
Oh.
They're two different mediums. You can't compare. And also, one had 3 films, the other had 3 hours. So,
okay. Yeah, I was going to say, how did they manage to squeeze it down? Because
if you went in to see this show thinking, oh my gosh, they're never going to put all the whole book into a stage show, and you're right, they can't, and they didn't. But if you just put that aside and just go in open-minded, you would have been completely blown away. The stuff they did, and the singing, the songs were so good. It really did not get the recognition it deserved, in my very humble opinion.
Well, we love your humble opinion.
It's one of those things I really wish they put more theatre onto DVDs, or where you can buy them and download, just because sometimes it's particularly a show like that, it was so expensive to put on.
Do you think maybe they'll do that now because of the whole corona thing and everything's changing? They might not be able to get the audiences in they want, then that's one way they could make revenue.
Well, National Theatre are, and I think on BritBox you can watch some Royal Shakespeare Company stuff, so I think it's a good. I mean, I don't know all the legality of it and how all that works, but from my point of view, I would love it, because there are so many shows, especially even when you're living in London, you can't see, either your work schedule won't allow, or money. So it's just sold out and impossible to get a ticket. But knowing that, okay, maybe you have to wait a month after the show is closed before you can see it, otherwise people would just download it rather than going to the theatre to see it. Maybe that's
do you not get to watch it for free if you work in the theatre?
As a front of house person, yes. Technically you're working. But yeah, but that has its own blessings and curse as well, because you might think, yay, I love Les Mis, I get to watch it every night.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's only so many times you can watch Fantine die. There are so many times you can watch Javert commit suicide. Until you get like, I want to watch something else now. This isn't.
Okay, so was there, on the opposite side of the scale, was there a theatre show that you were disappointed by, that you was really looking forward to, and you watched it and you was like, oh, you're just such a lover, you love them all?
Well, I always try and be objective, just because there are so many factors that can hinder your experience. And what I found, I guess I was very, I don't want to say disappointed, but underwhelmed when I first saw Wicked, just because everyone had hyped about it, about how amazing it was. And, I'd listened to the soundtrack, and then when I was watching it, I felt like I was just waiting for the big songs, Defying Gravity, The Deny. I was just like, oh, I'm not really connected with the story anymore, even though I've read the book and the book's really good. And the moral of the story is really good. I was a bit, So that's always made me think now, don't listen to a soundtrack before seeing the show. Just so you have no ideas before you go in. Okay, you know, maybe look at the plot a bit so you have a bit of knowledge of, okay, it's about this. But sometimes if you read reviews and or people overhear people talking about it, it can dampen it, or it can impact on your own enjoyment of the show, I found personally. But
everyone goes on about that. I, you know, speak to about theatre. Everyone always goes on about Lion King, or you must see Lion King. You know, it's so spectacular. The costumes, this, that. You know, has there been one that's been in the theatre that you haven't had time to see and you were just gutted that you missed it?
I have to admit, because I worked in front of house, I've been very fortunate to be able to see things that I never would have been able to had I not worked at theatre. Something that I would have liked to have seen, Dear Evan Hansen at the Noel Coward. That had a lot of hype around it, and it was massive on Broadway, and it was going to be massive here as well. But COVID got in the way, and I don't know if it's coming back there. And I hope it is, just because it has such a big following, that I'm sure it will. But I missed it.
One of my favourite films was always Dirty Dancing, and I wanted to see it in the theatre for ages. And it came to the theatre here in town, and I finally went to see it, and I just loved it. Loved it.
I have to admit, I've not seen the film. I know. I feel like I've seen it.
Now, I'm sorry, there is judgment there now.
But I feel like I've seen it through so many different other things that I kind of feel like I've almost watched it, because I know all like the key moments, but I've not actually sat down and watched it from A to B. I know.
Make that your homework from today.
Well, I kind of feel like it's one of the ones you want to watch with the girls, like.
Yeah.
Sit around,
get some popcorn in, lemonade, and away you go. What do you think about, you know, like sometimes they put musicals, they turn them into films, you know, like Sweeney Todd or Mamma Mia. What do you think about those?
I think I have no problem with it if it gets people coming to the theatre afterwards, because some people might not even realise Mamma Mia was actually a stage show. Now to me, I'm like, well, how could you not? But some people don't, and then they'll be like, oh my god, it's a stage show, I'll go see it. And if that brings people to the theatre, and then from enjoying that, they might go see something else. And to me, how can that be a bad thing?
Oh, see, I don't like them. I think musicals should be on the stage, you know, unless, like you say, they videoed it and you watch it like the theatre, not actually a film.
That's so interesting. So what about all the classics like Oklahoma and Calamity Jane, all those ones, and 42nd Street that they put in back in the day?
I just have only seen them as like shows on DVD. I didn't even, you know, like I didn't think they started in the theatre. I thought they started as a film and then went to theatre. See?
But so how is that different from Mamma Mia then?
I think it's because I knew that they started in theatre, so that's where I feel like they should stay.
Right, okay.
Okay, what about now you're a big Disney.
I tell you what does annoy me.
Yeah.
I say it annoy, it's just a bit that a lot of current new musicals are all based on films.
Okay, you mean like Dirty Dancing and stuff?
Yeah, Dirty Dancing, got Moulin Rouge coming out, and Pretty Woman, and yeah, all those films are great, but they're not. I
want to see Pretty Woman. I really want. Please tell me you've seen that film.
Oh my god, yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
I really want to see that.
At the Opera House, to die for. But there's nothing original so much anymore. So
yeah.
Which is
Maybe you should write something. Write a new script.
Maybe I will.
Mainly
Maybe I will.
all female cast. Even the men's parts can be played by women. There you go.
Well, there was a show called Amelia that did that. It wasn't a musical, it was a play, but a very good play, and that's what they did. And it worked. It really worked.
Okay, so to my knowledge, you're a big Disney fan.
You would be correct.
What do you think?
In fact, do you want to see my new Disney purchase? Which
yes.
I just
yes,
love.
we do.
So Disney had an offer online on their Disney store, which is a big kind of, you shouldn't do Disney because I'll spend too much money. And I saw this and I had to get it straight away.
Okay, let's see. Oh my God, I love that.
So it's the house from Up as a pencil holder. And all the pencils that have got like balloons at the top.
What's the yellow bit poking out in the middle?
Sorry, that's a highlight I've just added.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, that doesn't come with it.
Oh my goodness, that's so cute.
There we go.
I love it.
This is how I'm spending my redundancy days, getting Disney stuff.
But listen, if Disney wants to sponsor the show Across the Pond with Rich and Soph, do feel free. Also, Disney, if you want to give Larissa a job, do feel free. But back to the question. Let's pull it back because we're going left.
Yeah. Sorry, back to the point. Yeah.
So, what do you think about Disney when they make their Disney movies into films? You know, like with actual people, like Beauty and the Beast or Mulan. Yeah. What do you think of that?
It really doesn't bother me. I know. I feel like some people it like kills them inside, and I'm just like, Beauty and the Beast was perfection to me.
My absolute favorite.
I just don't understand what people dislike about it.
Listen, my favorite Disney film is Beauty and the Beast, and my favorite, what do you call it when they go to a film?
Live action.
Yes, live action is Beauty and the Beast. In fact, I even watched it. Was it yesterday or Friday? Oh, and I've watched it a bazillion times. Love it.
The cast is brilliant. I love all the additional songs. It didn't take away from it anything. Loved it. Bloody loved it.
Do you think there's any that haven't worked?
So what are the ones that they've done? Mulan, Aladdin. I really enjoyed Mulan. I rented it for my friend's birthday and we had we watched it together. I kind of missed the songs. I don't know why they didn't put them, but overall, I thought it was really good. Shame they couldn't see it in the cinema.
I feel like Aladdin didn't have very good reviews, but then you had Robin Williams, who was in the original, which set the bar ridiculously high.
Whoever played the genie would ever be good enough, I think. I thought Will Smith did a great job.
Yeah,
He made his own, and I was with him. It's just such a shame that people just can't put things aside and be like, okay, that was one actor's interpretation. Let's see what someone else does. Because I thought, I mean, it's not my favorite live action, but I didn't think it was terrible. But yeah, I heard that reviews wise, they weren't particularly kind.
I mean, they've done 101 Dalmatians, haven't they? Because Thingy played Cruella.
Glenn Close.
Yes, but I've seen that they're going to be doing another one.
It's like a prequel to it,
no.
Like how Cruella. Open your mind, Sophie. Open your mind. It's got Emma Stone, Emma Thompson. Come on, she kicks ass and everything. And I'm intrigued to see how Cruella became the dog killing person we now know her as.
Okay, I'll give it a go-karting. I mean, I would watch it, but I'm a bit like, really? It's a bit like Maleficent. When they brought Maleficent out with Angelina Jolie, then they brought another one out. Isn't that the story before she was...
No, the second Maleficent it kind of tells you a bit about her origin ish, but it is an after story. The first film does cover like most of her origins. you just get to see a bit more of her kind, as it were. There are other people that do have, you know, horns and wings.
Ooh. I mean, I'd like wings. I wouldn't necessarily go with the horns, but I'll go with the wings.
Hey, you could pull horns off.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying I can't pull them
Many
off.
will follow.
So what is your absolute dream job? If somebody knocked on the door tomorrow and said, whatever job you want, you could have it. Would it be stage, TV? What would it be?
Okay. What I really love to do is the next fantasy epic TV series or film. I'm not picky, where I would play a character that would ride a chariot into the best filmed action sequence ever and ride a dragon. That's
Nice.
That's my goal.
So
That's what I
basically what I'm hearing there is if they make Game of Thrones into a theatre play, you would like to play the dragon, the mother dragon lady.
Well, it doesn't have to be on stage. I mean, I'm quite adaptable. I'll do TV and film if they're going to make it into a film. Great. And yes, if they are doing another Game of Thrones TV series, please put me in it. But it doesn't, just because I love fantasy and I love strong women. And what was great about Game of Thrones is that you really did have some kick-ass women in it. And yeah, love to be Daenerys Targaryen and ride a dragon, or Brienne and have a sword fight. You know, these characters, they're so rare, and it's really rare that they kick ass so well and have great dialogue, and they're not, you know, being overshadowed by men. They hold their own, and that's something that I'd love to do so much.
If you're listening, Game of Thrones directors, we've got the next dragon mum, dragon queen, whatever she called herself. What about if Bridgerton came to the theatre? Would you like to play the Duke's wife?
The only thing is like, I mean,
Please say you watched Bridgerton.
Oh yes. Costumes get me into a corset any day. What I would be concerned about is the nudity, and I know you could say that about Game of Thrones as well, but they're just so raunchy.
But wouldn't they cut those things out in the theatre, or do they have theatre plays where there's a bit of nudity?
Yeah.
Really?
Have you never seen Equus?
No. What's that about?
So it's about a guy who murders horses, a young lad, and he becomes obsessed with horses. And one night, sorry, spoiler, when him and this girl are sort of getting together, and she sort of leads him on, and they begin to, you know, have sex, and a horse sort of sees them, and this boy is so mortified he blinds these horses, and and he's naked at the same time. Sorry, that going back to nudity.
Well, there you have it. If you haven't seen it yet, a guy runs around naked blinding horses.
And it's honestly, it's a great play. Sorry. I really don't put it justice, but it is a really good play. Equus, check it out.
Okay.
And Daniel Radcliffe was in it, and it was the first thing I saw him on stage, and he's actually a bloody good actor.
Was he the naked guy blinding horses?
Yeah.
So if you were in that play, don't mean to be rude, if you watched that play, you saw Daniel Radcliffe's Willie?
I conveniently just sort of turned my head and just sort of listened.
But if you were looking, you would have had a full frontal.
Yeah.
Wow, get in.
In the 60s, the musical Hair had a lot of kind of fuss about it because all the cast were on stage naked.
Nice. Oh, there's that calendar one, isn't there, with women? They were naked.
Yes. It's not called Calendar Girls on Stage though. I can't remember what it was called. Because Gary Barlow wrote the music for it, but didn't get to see it. But the nature of the story, I'm sure. I don't think they had things covering them, didn't they?
Oh yeah, little delicately placed. Okay, so we are coming to the. Do you know what, this is the annoying thing? We've only got a certain time frame, but my brain works that you say something and I'm like, oh yeah, ask this, ask that, ask the other. So you name dropped Daniel Radcliffe there, right? Now,
Okay.
having worked in the theatre, who's the most famous person you've met?
Hugh Jackman.
Really?
Yeah.
Was he nice?
Lovely. Oh my gosh, really lovely. I was so, because I was at the time, I was a supervisor, and we knew before that he was coming in, and my manager went, oh, you can look after him, just show him to the VIP room, pour him drinks, whatever. And he walked in and I just sort of stood there in shock, and because he had a bodyguard or, you know, security. Yeah, and I think it was his sister was with him as well, and my manager literally had to push me to move. But he was so lovely, and really chatty, like really wanted to know about the play, what my thoughts were of it, and it was just like a nice human being.
Did you ask him for a signature and a selfie?
No, because I didn't want to lose my job, and also sort of I didn't want to, you know, be that person. But let me tell you, I'm hoping, please viewers don't report me on this one.
No, but this is a safe environment.
There was time I was working in the theatre cloakroom, and it was quite on a high profile play, so we're getting quite a few names in, and we were quite busy this particular day, so I had my head down sort of going, yes, I'll look after your coat, it's blah blah blah. And then I looked up and Ewan McGregor was there, and he was like, oh, can I leave my bike helmet and coat in? I was like, yeah, sure, of course, Ewan McGregor. So I put them in, and I was like, oh my god, just held Ewan McGregor's helmet, and I was like, shall I try it on? How often do you get to hold Ewan McGregor's motorbike helmet? And I was like, go on, try it on. So I was like, oh, okay, try it on. Oh my god, I'm wearing Ewan McGregor's helmet. And then his phone started to go in his
you answer it?
And I was like, oh my god, his mobile phone in his coat pocket is going. What do I do? So I naughtily, I did put my hand in his pocket and I did look at the phone.
Who was calling?
I didn't recognize the name. I was really hoping someone called so it would add to this story, but it wasn't. And I was like, I can't answer it. So I just quickly had to.
Okay, let's just say you picked up the phone and it said something like, I don't know, Tom Hardy or some big. Would you have answered it?
No, I would have been too chicken.
I would have done. I definitely would have done. I think.
And what would you said? What would you have said?
Oh, hello, this is Ewan McGregor's phone. He's just in the theatre at the moment. Can I take a message? By the way, I love you.
Oh my god, no, because it would come back to you though.
Yeah, but look at that girl. Okay, did you see that story? I mean, we're going way off now, but I could be here all day. Did you see that story where there was that chick in America that she was like a water girl on the red carpet for these Oscar things, and she kept getting in the back of everybody's picture to the point where she finally got recognised and got offered a job. She was like the water girl that was always in the back.
Sure, it's my luck. It wouldn't happen. I would have just got fired, and I've been like,
this is the thing. I can't believe that you can't. I'm a stickler. Like, I'm a celebrity spotter. I spot them within a mile off. It's like I can smell them, even if I don't like them. They're there, and I have to get a selfie because otherwise, I just think people will never believe you that you saw them if you don't get a selfie. So I could never work in film or theatre because I'd forever be like, "Can I have a selfie? You're fired." You know.
But I always think like if I was in their position, would I want to be approached?
But they can say no. If you say, oh my god, do you mind if we just have a picture? If they say no, I'll say, all right, fine. Secretly,
but not everyone's like that though. And there's been some times when I felt really sorry for them, where it's like they've just gone out to the theatre, they just want to see a show, and yet they've been circled by people.
But that comes with the territory, surely. That's going to happen to you when you're in the big Broadway show and you leave at the back entrance because you want to go to get McDonald's or something on the way home because you're hungry. Everybody's going to be there. Larissa, can I just get a selfie?
Then it's kind of like, I just wish people would use their initiatives, because there's always, the argument is like, oh yeah, but they sign stuff on the red carpet, but celebrities are working when, yes, they're all dolled up, but they're working when they're at a premiere. That's their working. When they're around a table with a banner that says happy birthday mum, they're not working. They're there to, it's their mum's birthday. So is it right for then you to go up and ask them for a selfie or an
Yeah, but I mean, if
autograph?
they're going to come to you and say, excuse me, ma'am, can you hold my helmet? Surely you can say, sure, can I just get a selfie? Okay, who has been the most diva-ish celebrity that you've had come into the theatre? Like when you've really
I'm not sure if I can say.
You've just told the world you put Ewan McGregor's helmet on. It can't get any worse.
But hopefully when he watches it, they'll be like, oh, bless her.
He'll be like, my wife wondered whose hair that was in my helmet.
We got a divorce because of you. No,
oh my God, imagine. You heard it here first on Across the Pond. He didn't have an affair, Mrs. McGregor. It was Larissa. She put the helmet on.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I've had some not nice encounters, but I don't want to name them.
Oh man.
No, it was just someone who's just thought they were better, and I had to look after them and someone else, and I was taking them back to their seat and just tried to, you know, not, I'm really bad at small talk anyway, but just so there wasn't that awkward silence.
Yeah.
Try and be like, are you enjoying the show? One word answer.
Oh, so they only went to see the show. It wasn't somebody that was actually in the show.
No, not in the show. In the show, I sadly witnessed a well-known West End Broadway star. Hopefully that will sum it up. In a very popular musical. It was just had a complete go at the musical director. Completely unnecessary, and it was a really horrid thing to watch. And you could tell all the other cast members disagreed with this diva, but because of their prestige, couldn't say anything. And it was, I just think that no matter how talented or how successful you are, there is no excuse for rudeness.
No, manners don't cost anything whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically what we're putting out there is, if there is a show that's coming up where you can wear a corset and be a dragon mum, yes, this is what we're aiming for. A corset wearing dragon mum. I mean,
sure. And maybe an elf. I'll have the ears for an elf.
Oh, and Disney, if you're listening, please sponsor the show and please give Larissa a job. She don't necessarily have to wear a corset.
No, but it helps.
Yeah. Oh, Larissa, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you today. Sorry Rich couldn't join us. Maybe when the theatres get back up again, we'll have you back on the show. He'll probably have more questions. I haven't got a clue about Broadway. I ain't going to lie. I just know that Britney Spears was at Vegas for a while, and so was Bros.
But you do know Vegas
is a Broadway.
Yeah, but you do know that, right? Yeah, fine.
But that's the sort of knowledge I have. What can I say? Would you work in Vegas like Britney?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what as. I have to admit, I don't. To me, Vegas is
they're music shows, really, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know Britney and Cher have done their own stint, but they're singers.
Oh, so it's mainly
singers. I can't imagine Vegas holding a play. I could be wrong.
To be honest, this is where we need Rich. He is across the pond. He would have those answers for us. But Vegas, if you need a corset wearing dragon mum, we know just the right one for you. Oh, well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Larissa. I would have said, I like to not put people on the spot, but like when we had Knox on, who is a rap artist, I said to him, can you drop us a couple of beats? You know, you've already said at the beginning of the thing that you don't think you can sing or dance, so I won't ask you to give us a rendition of anything.
Okay, that's probably for the best. Otherwise, your viewers' ears will be bleeding. There'll be tears.
And that job offer you was but just about to get. Andrew Lloyd Webber, if you're watching, look no further. Your leading lady is here. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much,
we will speak to you soon.
Thank you. Lots of love.
Oh, bless her. Oh, very sad actually about the whole corona thing, how it's affected so many people, and more specifically in certain industries, you know, like film, theatre, TV, you know, lots of people left without jobs. And I know we have joked, but come on, she's amazing. If anyone wants to offer her a job, Disney, West End, Broadway, anybody, let's give her a break. But I will just address, before I draw it to an end, the other news thing that Larissa kindly mentioned was the whole blooming corona. Obviously, the UK, excuse me, is opening back up now. But apparently there's a new Indian variant of the virus that's come about, and potentially there's news on the grapevine that are we going to go back into lockdown and have a fourth lockdown. Bojo is saying that he wants to ramp the vaccines up before he thinks about another lockdown. I'm just, not just me, a lot of people are just so over it now. You know, it is a joke. But if you, well, okay, what I don't understand is, here we go, I'm going to put myself under the bus. Like, would love a holiday, so I've had a little look. There are countries that you can't go to unless you've had the vaccine, right? And if you don't have to have the vaccine to go there, you at least have to have a positive, excuse me, you have to have a negative COVID test to say you've been tested, you don't have the virus, before you can go into the country. Why don't they have that in all countries? Then it would stop the spread from one to another. If they'd have had it here in the UK, you can't come in unless you've had the vaccine, or you at least need a negative COVID test. How would all these other variants manage to have squeezed in the border? I don't get it. But anyway, no, I'm not having the vaccine, but I still like a holiday. But I'll be prepared to have a test to say I ain't got it, so that I can get on a plane and hop for it out of here. But the same thing, you'd have to have another test before you come back in, before anybody shoots me. Test before you leave, no, I ain't got it. Test before you come back, no, I've got it. If you have got it, then you've got to isolate wherever you are for the recommended time. 7 days, 10 days, 14 days, whatever it is, they make it up as they're going along. So yeah, anyway, absolute pleasure to have Larissa today. I had fun. I could have talked to her for ages. But yeah, thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining him. I'm Soph. He's Rich. We're across the pond. Yepper.